And we asked them to do that on the 1, 2, or maybe 3 things that were most interesting to them about their work and their challenges. So with that said, I'm going to start to my far with Winnie Wixler.
Thanks so much, Raphael. There we go. Good morning, everybody. So exciting to be here. Really kind of amazing when I've talked to people about the fact that I'm going to a foster care and technology hackathon at the White House. It's like they can't believe it. I mean, I can't believe it, and I've been as involved in this as anybody. It's really amazing, and a tribute to everybody here that it's happening. Pritzker Foster Care Initiative focuses on supporting programs for transition-age foster youth, meaning those transitioning into adulthood, late teens, and into their 20s. We primarily focus on providing funds for college access, college success, employment, with the hope that these youth will be able to achieve the same kind of financial independence that any of us would want for our own children. Understanding that in addition to supporting those kinds of programs, we also need to be looking at their mental health and emotional support needs. So everything we do is under that rubric of emotional support through this transition. We do this through collaboration, appreciating the fact that we alone can't do it. We are actively engaged in collective action, working with public-private partnerships, forming them with federal, state, and local county leaders, working with other foundations who share our concern and interest in helping these youth, encouraging our own grantees through convenings and other ways of encouraging them to be working together. And last, through incubating new ideas, funding ideas that others may not feel are stable enough, but that we invest in with the hope that others will then follow suit. However, how can you really help this age group if they don't have their basic tools? We know that having a laptop computer is pretty fundamental to going through school, high school, college, and learning the skills and getting jobs. And yet, research released today by Foster Care Counts and iFoster, 2 nonprofits, show that only 20%, even less, of foster youth have regular access to a computer, compared to 90% of the country on average. So we're not just talking about a digital divide, though, as far as hardware. In some ways, that's the tail wagging the dog. As Commissioner Lopez said, it's really more about software. You look at all the billions of dollars that are invested in healthcare, in education, hundreds of billions of dollars, all the apps that are out there that you referenced, and indeed, then you look at child welfare. I mean, and it's not just because there are so few people here in the child welfare system or whatever, but it's that people just don't really understand what it is. And so what we've been doing is educating those in the commercial sector and other parts of our community to understand what are the needs of foster youth, because when they find out what the needs are, they want to help. And there are so many ways that they can help. Commissioner Lopez, you named quite a few of them. I'll just say e-learning and gaming for independent living skills, applying everything we know about search for able to access services anywhere in this country. There should be a database that's easily accessible. Last, creating platforms for e-mentoring, e-coaching, and telemental health services, which most of these kids could really benefit from and yet have virtually no access to. We know, as you said, that creating a lasting relationship with a caring adult is really what makes the difference. Ultimately, combining all these services into a single destination for these kids. So today, we're so excited about not just being able to announce that we're redoubling our own efforts to fund this area, but also to encourage others to do so, and knowing that through collaboration and working together, we're going to be able to do more for these kids who deserve it most.
Thank you, Winnie. We're going to now turn to Sixto Council.
Get pretty far.
You know, Brian, you lift up something that actually is right up the alley where Winnie's working on behalf of the Pritzker Foster Care Initiative. And, you know, Winnie, we know not only just with the announcement today and the commitments that you've been such a phenomenal leader on today and moving forward, that you're trying to build public and private partnerships in a different way, that no one sector can solve these huge, big, problems in America without reaching across multiple sectors. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing that, and why you think it's so important to build public-private partnerships and thinking about the next generation of work with technology and innovation and child welfare.
Well, you've made it easy for me to respond because I think this event itself is the best evidence of that. Certainly, this concept of holding in the White House a event to highlight the impact that technology can have on foster care was not even something that I could have imagined. And the fact that it's happening just shows the power. As you said, the outcome of today will really not be about just what goes on in the next 2 days, but all of the evangelists that come from this event. We held a convening in Los Angeles in October, bringing together commercial software developers and those from the child welfare sector to talk about what could the nonprofit sector learn from commercial software development. And I'm happy to say many of those people are here today and providing hackathon teams, because we know that once people understand the issues in technology, they want to be part of the solution. So it is all about building that partnership, because people want to help. They really do. I'll just say one thing about building public and private partnerships at the county level. We work very closely with LA County. For about 2 or 3 years, I was almost embedded in DCFS to really understand how we as a foundation could help the county. And once we put together a list of projects, we were like, well, we can't fund all this. And I should add that Casey Family Programs was a partner with us in really trying to get that list together. So I was like, let's bring it back to our foundation partners, because I feel that once they know what the need is, they're going to want to help too. And it was a little interesting, because when I brought it back to, we formed a group of, a foster care funders group in Southern California to work with the county and to try to help address their issues. And in fact, now there is an office of philanthropy within the new Office of Child Protection to just build public-private partnerships in LA County. That was an outgrowth of that work. But the point is, not every foundation wants to just take a list from the public sector and say, okay, we'll do what you need. In fact, what I was told was, by some foundations, we're not their checkbook. And I was like, well, we are. That's the way we view ourselves. We want to do what they need and to have done, because I respect the fact that they know better than me what needs to be done. Not everything that they listed was technology-based, but many of them are. And so it's just, to me, and I think to Jeannie Pritzker, who works with me so closely on all of these things, the public sector can fund things far beyond what we could ever hope to do. So if we can help make good policy and put into practice the best thinking, we have more than exceeded our capacity.
You know, Winnie, you lift up another really important point, which is around the ability to accelerate change or accelerate movement. So sometimes philanthropy or the private sector can invest in a different way, more freely than a government can, which is why you have those partnerships, whether it's LA County, the nation's largest child welfare system in the country, or others across the country. But I think you also lift up an issue that I know is something of a struggle, not only for us in this panel, but everyone who's here or watching, which is that we have witnessed the dramatic transformation of the use of technology and innovation in every other field and in every other space but for foster care, right? We know that, the kind of work you're doing. So I'm curious from all of you, very quickly, what is it that you think is the reason we've been left behind? And then the flip side of that, in a couple of words, imagine yourself a few years from now, what do you think will happen as a result of the change and the shift of moving towards a more digital world in terms of responding to children, youth, and families? And we'll start with you, and then we'll come this way to Sixto.
I like to think we're at, as they say, an inflection point, and that today and tomorrow is at the heart of that. I think that as people understand what the issues are, as I've said earlier, they want to get involved. As Brian pointed out, the issues are very meaningful. Nothing really could be more meaningful than investing and trying to help solve one of our biggest problems in our community today, which is helping these kids who, for no fault of their own, are growing up without their parents. So what could be a better use of our time? I will also add that when we brought together some commercial software developers in October to meet with child welfare, they were like, you know, our staff want to do this work. It's actually a benefit to us. You know, we're building things that are going to ideally make money and bring a profit. But on the other hand, our staff want to do things that are personally meaningful to them. So if you bring me a project that I can make available to them, I'm doing our staff a favor.
Great, thank you. Scooter.